Why'd you have to go away from home, me love? Hey!
The world has led us to believe that falling in love is caused by your heart, but in reality, your brain is doing the majority of the work. There are a few main body systems involved in falling in love, and they're all located in the brain. A mother's love for her child uses the same brain circuitry as when one falls in love. Falling in love is part of feeling the feelings of another person. One of the parts of the brain used is the limbic system, also known as the emotional center. The limbic system is located under the cerebrum and on top of the brainstem. When you begin to fall in love, the neurotransmitter dopamine is released and stimulates the system. When one falls in love, there is an increase of natural dopamine levels. Dopamine is responsible for influencing a number of behaviors, including pleasure, cognition, and motivation. If enough dopamine is released into the body, the brain reward is euphoria. Also, levels of testosterone will increase in the woman and decrease in the men when you fall in love. When you look at someone you are passionate about, some areas of your brain are activated, but a large part is deactivated, which is the frontal cortex. It plays a role in judgment and allows for critical thinking. Studies have shown that the frontal cortex shuts down in the process of falling in love. This may be the reason why people aren't afraid of the consequences of falling in love. When falling in love, the frontal cortex causes them to suspend all criticism and doubt. As we have studied in class, the endocrine system is made up of different glands. The pituitary gland, the pineal gland, the hypothalamus gland, the thyroid gland, and a few more. It influences almost every cell, organ, and function in our bodies. When falling in love, the endocrine system sends out norepinephrine that stimulates the production of adrenaline, which makes our heart race, blood pressure increase, and palms sweat. It is a neurotransmitter which induces euphoria in the brain, exciting the body and boosting the natural dose of adrenaline. This neurotransmitter stimulates when you are usually attracted to someone visually. Okay, so the first question is, how did you know that you were in love?
I knew instantly, but I was young.
Was it like love at first sight, or was it more like you knew instantly? Richard, how was...
I was 22.
22. Okay.
Well, she captured my heart. She did. You know, I noticed her.
Yeah. Did you feel or act differently when you knew that you were in love? Yeah?
After we figured it out,
Yeah. When you knew that you were in love.
acted the same.
Acted the same?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. So what does it mean to be in love for you? Is it different? Like, what does it mean that when you fell in love, what?
But for me, there was a sense of security.
Yeah.
When I wasn't with her, I missed her.
Yeah.
You know, and she left for a while, and I was very lonely.
Yeah. So the distance made you realize how much you cared.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. A lot more.
True.
Yeah.
Looking at the interview with Patsy and Richard showed us that falling in love changes who you are. It changes the way you think of things and how you go on with your daily life. It overall changes the brain. We trade bits of identity with loved ones, meaning when two people fall in love, the brain extends the idea of itself to include the other. When Richard was away from Patsy for a long period of time, it made him miss her and reminded him how much she meant to him. Patsy said it was love at first sight for her, therefore leading to something researchers have discovered, which is that falling in love takes around a fifth of a second.
How did you know that you were in love?
How did I know that I was in love? I went away for over a year, and right after I had met Larry, and I missed him the whole time and wanted him to be with me. So that's when I felt that he was the one.
So when you were away, you realized how much you cared and how much he meant to you.
I missed him a lot.
Okay. when you are in love, do you feel or act differently than you used to when you weren't?
Do you feel or act differently in your everyday life, or
Yeah,
with?
or in your brain, like, do you feel differently, like,
Well, you're always thinking about the other person and making sure their feelings are taken into account. So in that way, I guess.
yeah. What does it mean to be in love for you?
What does it mean to always be aware of the other person's feelings and take them into consideration? That's pretty much what it is to me. Making plans so that you keep the love alive and keep it romantic, switch it up, and do fun things together all the time, and make it interesting and new.
How did you know that you were in love?
Well, probably the first backpacking trip we took, and your mother was able to hike without actually having any problems whatsoever. The last girl that I took slapped me for making it a little too hard for her. So that was really the key, was that she could outlast me physically. That was
The first
point.
sign?
That was the first sign.
Okay. Did you feel and act differently when you knew you were in love?
No, I don't think I felt that differently because we were friends, and being friends just made you feel better. So I think being together and enjoying our company meant that I wanted to spend more time together.
Was it love at first sight?
I think it was love from the point that I left that piece of pizza on a motorcycle, and your mother actually took a bite of it.
It's disgusting. Okay. Were you in love before this?
Yeah, I probably was more in love in high school, and I probably, because of my high school experience of being so overwhelmed with being in love, I never wanted to be that in love ever again. Because it really wasn't that exciting from the standpoint of I was with someone for 5 years and didn't have a great experience after that. So.
Yeah. Does being in love change the way you think? Like, overall?
I think I'm happier having someone in my life.
Yeah. Do you think you can stop loving somebody, but not?
I think when someone is in your life, you have a certain infinity towards them. So I think that there's still a spark there.
Yeah. Okay, that's good.